that should eliminate some of the mental mistakes, allow that offensive line to open up a little bit of a run game to keep their quarterback, Rob Johnson, out of known passing situations when the Rams are going to blitz him.
Well, we'll have the opening kickoff for you in just a moment. The Buffalo Bills and the St. Louis Rams on Fox NFL Sunday. Kenny Albert, Jim Green back in Orchard Park, New York for the 0-2 St. Louis Rams under head coach Dick Vermeil. Home losses to the Saints and the Vikings. The Buffalo Bills 0-2 as well in Wade Phillips' first year as head coach. Road defeats at the hands of the Chargers and the Miami Dolphins. Isaac Bruce, the NFL's leading receiver, inactive today due to a hamstring injury. And the Rams have won the toss. They will receive 82, Tony Horn, a rookie out of Clemson. 83 on the right is J.T. Thomas. Steve Christie will get things started for the Bills in their 1998 home opener. Short kick handled by Thomas at the 11, out across the 25 to the 28-yard line. And that is where the St. Louis Rams will start their opening drive. Tony Banks, third in the NFL in yards passing over the first 2 weeks, behind only Steve Young and Glenn Foley, but he was picked off 4 times by the Vikings last week. Orlando Pace, one of the best first overall pick in last year's draft. Ricky Prohl gets the start for the injured Isaac Bruce. Greg Hill is the featured back. On first down, play action, and the pass is complete. Out of the backfield, Derek Harris, the third-year pro out of Miami. Henry Jones made the stop. The Bills defensively ranked second in the NFL behind the Seattle Seahawks. Sean Price starting for Sean Moran. Bruce Smith, the 10-time Pro Bowler. Rogers, Holosek, and Northern, the linebacking core. Irvin and Smith on the corners. Jones and Schultz are the safeties. Greg Hill cuts to the outside across the 30 to the 31-yard line. A gain of 8. Kurt Schultz made the stop.
One of the things the Rams wanted to do with their run game today was run right at Bruce Smith with his hurt knee. Here's Smith. Watch what they do. Derek Harris leads on him. He cuts him down, and that gives Greg Hill a nice big hole to run through. Smith told us yesterday they had to drill small holes in the top of his bone to try to regenerate cartilage growth in his knee.
Third down and 2. Banks over the top. Ernie Conwell, the tight end, could not hang on to it.
Had to hurt. Ernie Conwell has got a cracked rib, and he had that ball in his hands, and he takes a brutal shot from Gabe Northern. That's tough. I mean, that's just toughness just to be out there. Doesn't surprise me that he dropped that pass.
Kevin Williams, the former Dallas Cowboy and Arizona Cardinal. Back deep. Former Bill Rick Chuton, who averaged only 31 yards per punt last week. Dick Vermeil was not happy about that, as Williams takes it out of bounds at the 28-yard line following a 9-yard return, a 51-yard punt by Chuton. Rob Johnson, only one NFL start prior to this season with the Jacksonville Jaguars, signed the big contract, $25 million. Here are the men protecting Johnson. They allowed 8 sacks last week in Miami. Molds and the great Andre Reed are the wide receivers. Antoine Smith, Sam Gash, the former Patriot, in the backfield, and the tight end, Lonnie Johnson. First and 10 Bills from their own 28. Antoine Smith up the middle across the 31 to the 33-yard line. Smith gains 5 on first down. As we check out the St. Louis Rams defensive unit, the front four, led by DeMarco Farr, as well as Kevin Carter, Mike Jones, the former New England Patriot. Lorenzo Styles starting once again for the injured Roman Pfeiffer. Eric Hill, the ex-Cardinal, in the middle. And the Rams secondary, Toby Wright coming back from reconstructed knee surgery. On second down, Antoine Smith again. First down and more. Finally dragged down at the 42 by Todd Light after a 10-yard pickup.
Kenny, Rams coming up with an 8-man front. They've got the strong safety, Toby Wright, playing right up here in the line of scrimmage. So he's ready to fill on the run. Watch the hole here by this Bills offensive line, and watch that block there by Sam Gash, the fullback. Beautiful blocking up front for the Bills so far. 2 run plays and a first down.
First and 10 from the 43. Third consecutive handoff to Antoine Smith. Across the 45 to the 46, he gains 3 more.
Interesting talking to Antoine Smith yesterday and just talking about his life and how he didn't play football until he was a senior in high school. Then he took 2 years off, 3 years off to work in a mill to support his dying grandmother, and then ultimately went to college after that because she said that's what she wanted him to do. That's what he did. Now he's making millions of dollars in the NFL because of it.
He earned $5.50 an hour dyeing cloth at the textile mill. Smith cuts it outside. Gains 4 yards to midfield.
The Rams, Kenny, are continuing to play an 8-man front. They told us yesterday they wanted to force the Bills to throw the ball, force the ball into Rob Johnson's hands. Now, Lorenzo Styles misses the tackle on this. Every Ram has a hole to fill, and there's Styles' hole. You see that? He's got to make that tackle. When you play an 8-man front, you put a defender in every gap. You've got to make the tackle if the guy comes through your gap.
Thurman Thomas has replaced Antoine Smith in the backfield. Johnson. And he is met at the line of scrimmage. Kevin Carter. Johnson could not find anybody downfield, and the Bills will punt it away.
Even though the Bills did not convert, Rob Johnson has to be happy. At least he was in a 3rd and short situation. The critical thing for the Bills is to keep him out of 3rd and 7+, because if you're in 3rd and 7+, the defense can blitz, and you can't even get the ball out to a hot route for a first down.
Chris Moore's first punt. Eddie Kennison returned one for a touchdown last week against the Vikings. Kennison across the 25 to the 26-yard line. Derek Holmes made the tackle. 44-yard punt, 20-yard return by Kennison. Back at Orchard Park, New York, the Buffalo Bills and the St. Louis Rams scoreless in the first quarter, the 8th all-time meeting between these clubs. Bills have won the last 3. As the Rams start from their own 27-yard line. Rams have not scored a point in the first quarter over their first 2 games. Banks to the air on first down, looking for Ricky Prohl. Ken Irvin on the coverage.
Boy, Ken Irvin has got to feel like you feel when you wake up on a snowy winter morning and you find out school's canceled, because he thought he was going to have to face Isaac Bruce all day long. Now, even though Ken Irvin was a teammate of Isaac Bruce in Memphis State and played against him day after day in practice, he knew that covering Isaac Bruce was going to be an awesome challenge. So it's going to be a little bit easier to cover Ricky Prohl than it was Isaac Bruce.
2nd and 10, and the quick slant, incomplete. Eddie Kennison dropped a couple of balls last week and could not hold on to that one.
And Kenny, he dropped the same type of ball, the same type of square-in pattern. The ball's delivered there by Tony Banks, and Eddie Kennison has got to pull those in, especially with Isaac Bruce on the sideline. Eddie Kennison is the guy who's got to step up and replace him in that offensive passing game. You can't replace a guy when you're dropping the ball.
Tony Banks told us yesterday Kennison's great once he gets the ball in his hands.
That's right, and those guys are good friends. And even Tony Banks said, hey, I got to get on Eddie. If he could catch the ball, he could be a great one.
3 wide receivers, 3rd and 10. Banks throws it away. Under pressure from Marcellus Wiley, and the Rams once again go 3 and out.
One thing you'll hear, you talk about Marcellus Wiley, the Buffalo Bills defensive line. They like to rotate those guys in and out of the game. It keeps them fresh. It gives them a good pass rush, a lot of times with just 4 guys in the game, so they don't have to blitz.
Kevin Williams awaiting Rick Tootin's punt. Tootin back at his own 15. Williams from the 22, penalty marker on the punt. As Williams cuts to the outside, across midfield, forced out of bounds by the punter, Tootin. A 52-yard punt, a 30-yard return, and a penalty marker.
Now there's a flag down on the field and there's a hat down on the field, and when the hat's down, that means that someone was out of bounds. And it could go either way. Either someone hit someone out of bounds or someone didn't try to get in bounds.
The hat's out of
soon
bounds.
enough. The hat's definitely out of bounds. But the hat goes down when somebody goes out of bounds.
Tony Correnti is our referee.
Two penalties on the play.
Unsportsmanlike conduct, number 82 on the kicking team. This penalty, by rule, is declined.
That's Tony Horn.
Holding. Holding, number 31 on the receiving team during the run.
Ray
This
Jackson.
penalty will be enforced. 10-yard penalty, first down.
So the Bills for their second offensive series of the afternoon when we return. No score, just over 5 minutes gone by in the opening quarter. Bills 1st and 10 from their own 31-yard line. Johnson to the air on first down. Again, can't find anyone. He takes off, has the first down and more in Rams territory. Down to the 37-yard line as Johnson, who on his first pass attempt during the last series could not find anyone, same situation for a big gain.
This is what the Bills liked about Rob Johnson, why they brought him here from Jacksonville. This is what the Rams feared about Rob Johnson. There's the pass rush. They leave that lane open. This guy's got the wheels and the ability to get downfield and pick up a first down. This guy's cut out of the same mold as a Mark Brunell, a Steve Young, a Cordell Stewart. He's got the legs to pick up a first down on the ground.
A 32-yard gain by Johnson.
I got to tell you, Kenny, so far, this Bills offensive line has answered the bell because they came into this game, and we talked about it right in the opening. They came into this game just a group under fire. Lots of penalties, offsides things, mental mistakes, giving up sacks. So far, Johnson's had great protection. I mean, the Rams rushed 5 on that scramble. They gave him an iron wall, and they've opened it up to the run game, too. Antoine Smith's got about 26 yards and 5 carries already.
2nd and 6. Smith to the outside. Another Bills first down as Todd Light drags him out of bounds after a gain of 13.
What an impressive run by Antoine. This is the kind of run that you see Thurman Thomas make. You think of Antoine Smith, you think of a straight-ahead guy. He's a big physical guy, but he sees somebody in the hole. Watch him make this cut. Beautiful cut to the outside, and then he's a big guy, but he's got the speed to beat Toby Wright to the corner and pick up a first down.
39 yards on 6 carries for Smith. Here's Thurman Thomas. And he's met after a short gain by a trio of St. Louis Rams.
I thought after watching film on these guys all week that we were going to see more Thurman Thomas, that the Bills needed to use more Thurman Thomas, because it looked to me that Antoine Smith was more of a guy that would run to the hole. And the holes weren't there. The offensive line wasn't opening up holes. Thurman Thomas had more success last week than Antoine Smith because he was cutting it back against the grain of the defense. But so far today, the holes have been there, and Antoine Smith, you might as well leave him in the game.
2nd down and 9 from the Rams 19. Johnson's first pass attempt complete. Down to the Rams 13-yard line. Andre Reed for a gain of 6 yards.
Kenny, we talked about this offensive line. We talked about the protection. Rob Johnson sacked 8 times last week. Not sacked so far, but one of the things they wanted to do to help him not be sacked was to run little short patterns like this. So instead of Andre Reed running downfield on a 9 on a go route, just hook up short, make it a quick pass. Rob Johnson sets up, boop, ball comes out. Line does their job. Everybody's happy.
Quick slant complete. Thurman Thomas inside the Rams 10. As Thomas signals first down.
Oh, yeah. Another quick pass. That makes it easy. And what's happening now is this Bills offensive line, man, their confidence is starting to build. They've opened up the run game, and Rob Johnson hasn't been touched yet.
Bills have had trouble scoring
Look at that.
in the first quarter last season, as well as the first 2 weeks this year. Only 19 first quarter points in their last 18 games. First and goal from the 8. Antoine Smith. Good second effort. Toby Wright could not bring him down initially, as Smith picks up 4 more yards.
Well, this is what you'd expect. You know, going back to the Rams and this 8-man front, Toby Wright is the key. He's the safety that has to come up and play like a linebacker, and that's what he does. He fills the hole here, he comes up, and he makes the hit. He stops Antoine Smith, not in his tracks, because, again, Smith's a big, powerful guy, but as Toby Wright made the tackle, the last time we saw Lorenzo Styles come up into the hole and miss his tackle.
Second and goal, play action, Johnson, touchdown! Sam Gash!
Beautiful drive for the Buffalo Bills. They worked it down the field, running, short passing, a Rob Johnson scramble, and a Sam Gash touchdown pass to score their first touchdown in the first quarter in a long, long time.
Steve Christie to kick off. Deep for St. Louis.
Sam Gash with the touchdown for the Buffalo Bills. Bills on top, 7-0.
And the first points scored by the Buffalo Bills in the first quarter this season. This is J.T. Thomas. And he is stopped shy of the 20-yard line. Marlo Perry. So the Rams, who have gone 3 and out on both of their offensive possessions so far in the first quarter, have fallen behind 7-0. Rams trailing the Bills 7-0. First and 10 from their own 20-yard line. Greg Hill to the outside. Forced out of bounds at the 25-yard line by Kurt Schultz after a gain of 5.
That's a tough way to get forced out of bounds, too. I mean, he took a hit.
A 6-yard
Jonathan Linton, one of the Bills' special team guys, limping off the field. Boy, Schultz really hammered that last play. That's why they call Kurt Schultz the wrecker.
On 2nd and 4, Hill again to the outside, has the first down. And it was Schultz again, dragging him out of bounds, a gain of 10.
Yeah, and running Kenny again, right at Bruce Smith. When you've got a guy who's as fast upfield as Bruce Smith is, and watch him here. Look at the penetration Smith gets. And then Orlando Pace just gets him on the back, whoop, knocks him out of the way. And then there's a nice corner for Greg Hill, who's got outstanding speed. And if he gets to the corner on you, he can hurt you. There's the record.
From the 36, Hill this time up the middle. He told us last night, Tim, he actually enjoys taking it straight up the middle because it is the shortest distance, as you know, between 2 points.
Yeah, that's what he reminded us of. And he said his grandmother always says to him, "Hey, Greg, how come they're always saying to you, calling you an outside runner? I thought you like to run inside." He said, Grandma, I do like to run inside, but they just say I'm an outside runner because I've got speed. Well, he likes to run up on the inside. You saw it there on that last play. The guy is not afraid to take it up and meet a little contact.
Hill replaced by Gerald Moore, who fumbled 3 times opening week. Play action, and Banks pass again. Kennison unable to make the catch.
Yeah, now look, that would have been a tough pass to catch for Kennison. It was thrown a little bit behind him, but again, he's got to do it. He's got to do it. The guy's got the speed. We know he's got the athletic ability. Watch here. He sees the corner playing way off. He breaks in again. Now see how that ball's thrown a little bit behind him, and man, he gets hammered by Holisek. But again, he's got to start to make those spectacular plays if the Rams are going to have success in their passing game with Isaac Bruce on the sideline.
3rd down and 5, 3 wide receivers. Banks from the shotgun. And Banks makes the connection with Ricky Proehl. 1st down inside the 40 to the 38-yard line. A gain of 21 yards.
Yeah, a beautifully delivered ball by Tony Banks. And then, we talked about Ken Irvin, who's got to cover Ricky Proehl. Sometimes, you think school's out, school's canceled, then, your mom ends up having you sweep the garage. Here's Kenny Irvin over here. He's got the coverage, and watch this. Proehl gets just a little bit of separation. So Ken Irvin thinking maybe, well, I don't have Isaac Bruce. Maybe you start to, look, naturally you do. You start to take it a little easy. It's Ricky Proehl. All of a sudden, Proehl beats you for a 1st down.
From the Bears, 39. Hill up the middle, now to the 34-yard line. A gain of 5. And right now for an NFL update on the Packers and the Bengals. James Brown.
Kenny and Tim, Favre, Robert Brooks victimizing the rookie Artrell Hawkins. That for a 37-yard pass play. They bounce back and lead it now 7-3. The Pack over Cincy.
Thanks, JB. And Kenny, that Robert Brooks catch, that's what I'm talking about with Kennison. That was a difficult catch to make, but receivers can make the quarterback that much better when they make great catches like that.
Greg Hill looked to bounce it outside, and then met a fellow by the name of Bruce Smith.
Yeah. And then the crowd, Bruce, because, look, they love this guy. One thing about running at Bruce Smith, if you're going to run at him, you better run at him, because he's coming upfield, and if you hesitate, look how slow this play is developing. And if the play is slow to develop, look, Bruce Smith's he's going to sniff it out, he's going to find you, run you down, and slam you to the turf in the backfield. You're going to run at him, you better do it. Look at he split right on the snap of the ball.
A loss of 2 on the play, 3rd down and 7. 3 wide receivers for Banks. Has the time, and the pitch is made. A beautiful catch by J.T. Thomas.
Beautiful. Now that's what we're talking about. That's what Tony Banks needs. And look, if Eddie Kennison isn't going to do it, J.T. Thomas has to. Because this ball is thrown behind J.T. Thomas. No doubt about it. You're going to see Bruce Smith. Watch Smith. He gets raced right around the outside. Remember, Kenny, you talked about him not being able to turn the corner. Look at that. That ball is thrown high and behind J.T. Thomas, but he brings it in. That's what Tony Banks needs. He needs those receivers to help him get the passing game going.
17 yards on the play from Banks to Thomas. From the Bills, 19. Greg Hill. And this time it was Marcellus Wiley, the 2nd-year Bill out of Columbia.
Unbelievable. A guy from Columbia. And I was talking with one of the Bills personnel people before the game, and he said, hey, Marcellus, how did you end up in Columbia? And he said, well, because the guy came out of California. There he is right there in the middle. Just sheds the guy, comes back inside, makes a tackle. He said, well, coming out of college, coming out of high school, I was 6 foot, 183. I was a running back and not very good. All of a sudden he goes to Columbia. He blooms. Very smart guy, by the way. Now he's a defensive lineman in the NFL. Powerful guy.
From the 17, the inside handoff to Derek Harris. And he works his way down to the 2-yard line. Harris, who did not play at all last season, gains 15 yards. He was on the Rams roster, but did not play in a game.
Well, you talk about power. I mean, look at the power on this. And what happens is Greg Hill's the decoy. Everybody's thinking, hey, Greg Hill to the outside. Just a little handoff. Harris hit it right up the middle like that. Now here's the power. Look at this. Wham! I mean, he did that to the record. That's Kurt Schultz. He wrecked the record.
Kurt Schultz, who became a father yesterday morning for the 2nd time, along with wife Susan. And that will do it for the first quarter with the Bills leading 7-0. Fox NFL Sunday will continue after these messages. On a 5-yard touchdown pass from Rob Johnson to Sam Gash, Bills lead the Rams, who have now been outscored this season in the first quarter 35-0, but right here, first play of the second quarter, they're on the Bills' 2-yard line.
Knocking on the door after a beautiful run up the middle by Derek Harris, the fullback.
Triple tight end set, and Hill tries to go over the top and is forced back.
Now, Greg Hill, this is new territory, because he came from Kansas City, and anytime they got even close to sniffing the goal line, he'd come out, Marcus Allen would go in. You know, and he told us yesterday, hey, I am so happy to be in a situation with the team where I don't come out once we get into the red zone. Well, now he's finding out a little bit about the red zone, and it's not always as easy as it looks. Marcus Allen made it look easy.
Again, a triple tight end set. Derek Harris, the fullback, along with Greg Hill. Hill this time cuts to the outside, turns the corner, and is thrown out of bounds by Sam Cowart, the second-round draft pick from Florida State.
Talk about speed of a linebacker. Man, watch the speed here. Greg Hill's a 4-2 guy. He's a guy who can really take it to the outside. Now, look, this play's supposed to go up the middle there, but he sees there's no place to run. Greg Hill does what he does instinctively. Watch Cowart. Look at that. He runs him down, and then he heaves him out of bounds before he can get that ball over the end zone. Beautiful defense. Great defensive speed there by the young rookie.
They'll try it again. Third and goal.
They got to get this in. Oh, big guy got him.
Bruce Smith, who has led the AFC in sacks each of the last 2 years.
You can't block this guy with a tight end. Watch him coming from the outside. Look at that. We got a tight end on him, Ty J. Armstrong. That ain't gonna work. Hey, his knee may be hurt. He may not be able to take the corner. He's gonna get around a tight end as sure as the day you're born.
27-yard field goal attempt is good. Jeff Wilkins puts the Rams on the scoreboard, but they are held to a field goal following first and goal on the 2. Wade Phillips enjoying things. Goal line stand by the Buffalo Bills defense, holding the Rams to a field goal. As Wilkins kicks it off, Williams will stay in the end zone. Touchback, so the Bills will start from their own 20-yard line early in the second quarter, leading the Rams 7-3. Buffalo Bills leading the St. Louis Rams by the score of 7-3. Early second quarter. This week on Fox Saturday Baseball, the regular season comes to an end as the Mets face the Braves and try to get into the postseason, while Sammy Sosa and the Cubs will take on the playoff-bound Astros, plus other action with playoff implications. That is next Saturday, Fox Saturday Baseball. We will also bring you Mark McGuire's at Bats live during the Expos and the Cardinals. Antoine Smith on first down for a gain of 3.
I'll tell you, second down, Smith's limping a little bit. Now, he hurt that ankle last week against Miami. He had that thing twisted, got some treatment on it this week, and now you're seeing him limp a little bit. That's not a good sign.
Second down and 7. Johnson rolls to his left and then finds a receiver, Eric Moulds, at the 36-yard line, a gain of 13, forced out of bounds by Dexter McLeod.
Yeah, I like that play. You know, if you got a guy like Rob Johnson, who's got the ability, and we saw him on that beautiful scramble play to set up the Bills' first touchdown, if he's got feet like this, hey, run the bootleg. There it is. Fake it, fake the toss to the other side, put Sam Gash out in front of him for a little blocking. There's Eric Moulds getting himself wide open against McLeod.
Johnson 3 for 3, now 3 for 4. Broken up by Mike A. Jones, one of two Rams defensive players named Mike Jones.
Yeah, that's just nice coverage by Jones. The Rams like his coverage ability, and a lot of times you've got to cover a back out of the backfield or a tight end coming out of the backfield. Look, that's Thurman Thomas. He does a beautiful job changing direction, and he breaks vertically on that play and just pops it right before Thurman Thomas can get it into his hands. That's beautiful coverage by a linebacker. Change directions with a back like Thurman Thomas.
2nd and 10, the pitch back to Thurman Thomas across the 45, dancing along the sidelines. A flag comes flying. Thomas gained 15. As we check in once again with Tony Corrente, who will huddle with his fellow officials, and it looks like holding against the Bills.
Holding, number 80, offense, 10-yard penalty.
That's Eric Moulds.
Repeat, 2nd down.
The Bills like to use their wide receivers to come in on these run plays and do some blocking. He's complaining about it because, you know, half the time, it seems to me, when a holding penalty is called, half the time they're holding, half the time they're not. And there's about 100 other times during the game when guys hold and then never gets called at all. It's too bad because the Bills do a nice job of getting the corner here. There's Moulds right there. And, you know, I mean, he has a little hold of the cloth on the shirt, but, you know, that happens all the time. Technically, he was holding.
Johnson on 2nd down, dumps it off, and the ball pops loose out of bounds. Derek Holmes made the look to make the catch, but it is ruled an incomplete pass.
That's the kind of big play that Keith Lyle makes for the St. Louis Rams. You know, incredibly, I mean, this guy's got a ton of interceptions. He's a guy that loves to go to the ball, and he makes big plays. Now, I don't think he's had a great beginning of the season. I think the first couple games, he's been a little bit off in his timing. I've seen him slip and so forth. But that timing on that play was perfect because he came up from the defensive backfield, full force, full speed, and pops that ball out of there.
Lyle, more interceptions over the last 3 years than any other player in the NFL.
20, which is amazing.
Johnson on 3rd down. Holmes, the intended receiver once again. Ryan McNeil was right there.
That wasn't a good pass by Rob Johnson. He threw that behind Holmes, and he knows it. But so far, besides that pass, Rob Johnson's been pretty accurate. I mean, he has shown great accuracy today, but as we said from the beginning, they have not only they've reduced the amount of plays, they've made their passing game shorter. So it's easier for him to be accurate with a shorter passing game.
Chris Moore, 43 yards on his first punt. And the play is blown dead. Flags come flying. So Moore will do it again.
If I said more, would you would I get a chuckle out of you?
M-O-R-E, M-O-H-R.
Delay a game. Number 47, defense, made a move trying to coax the offensive team into a false start. 5-yard penalty, remains 4th down.
Now what that is the new flinch rule. Okay, so defenders are not allowed anymore to get up to the line of scrimmage and flinch to try to make the offensive guy jump. You can't do it. So the defensive guys do it all the time, a lot of times on 3rd down in punting situations. And I used to do it down on the goal line where it was real noisy and you'd flinch and you get that offensive lineman to jump and get a 5-yard penalty.
No more flinching.
No more.
Moore angling it towards the sidelines. And another flag, another hat. "46 yards on the punt by Moore. The hat signifying a player who went out of bounds. The hat was thrown before the flag.
There is no foul on the play. The blocker was bumped into the receiver by his own man. First down.
So no penalty, a 47-yard punt by Moore. We'll be right back. Tim Green back in Orchard Park, New York, where the Buffalo Bills lead the St. Louis Rams by the score of 7-3. And the Rams will start from their own 13-yard line. Head coach Dick Vermeil called the offensive plays last week, but this afternoon it's Jerry Rome, the offensive coordinator.
Yeah, Jerry Rome calls the plays from the box. He calls them down to Kurt Warner, the third-string tight end, and then Kurt Warner uses the helmet headset and gets it into Tony Banks.
First down, Ant Lee takes the handoff from Banks, his first carry of the game, and the former 49er and Viking gains 5.
What you have to understand about the Buffalo Bills defense is that without Isaac Bruce in the game, it's like the Bills get to play with an extra guy. Because if Isaac Bruce was in the game, the Bills knew that they were going to have to double cover Bruce almost all day. That means taking one of these safeties, either Henry Jones there or Kurt Schultz on the other side, and roll them out into coverage so that there's always a guy deep covering Isaac Bruce and the cornerback can cover him short. Without that, safety can come out and play the run.
Second down and 5. Greg Hill across the 20-yard line. Bills worked on their game plan, Tim, all week, and the number one focus was Bruce. Does it throw them off at all to find out an hour before the game that Bruce is inactive?
No, I mean, it makes it great because they're already to step 2. Step 1 for the Bills was, look, we're going to have to try to shut down the run game with 7 guys because we're going to have to use, 2 guys, 1 safety, a cornerback on the other receiver, and 2 guys to cover Isaac Bruce. So they're already to step 2. They can shut down the run game with 7 guys or 8 guys if they want.
3 wide receivers. Thomas in motion. 3rd and 3. And Banks' pass was deflected. And it falls incomplete. He also took a hit.
The Bills, Kenny, have been able, with this guy here, have been able to have an excellent pass rush with only rushing 4. Now, a blitz to the Buffalo Bills is they send an extra guy. They send 5. So you don't see the Bills typically sending safeties and cornerbacks and a bunch of different linebackers because with Bruce Smith, over the last 14 years, they've been able to have a very strong pass rush with just the defensive line.
Rick Chute back at his own 6-yard line. Good kick. Forces Williams all the way back to the 21. Williams across the 35 out of bounds at the 37-yard line. A 59-yard punt by Chute. 16 on the return. (7-3) lead for the Buffalo Bills in their 1998 home opener. Next week, a Fox NFL doubleheader as the NFC champion Packers head to Carolina to meet the Panthers. And some of you will see the St. Louis Rams and the Arizona Cardinals. And then it will be the 49ers and the 2-0 Falcons next week on Fox NFL Sunday. Antoine Smith.
Right? I told you at the beginning of the year, I said the Falcons have got a good team. 2-0.
2-0. Victories their first 2 weeks off today. And they will take on the 49ers next week in San Francisco. And the New Orleans Saints also 2-0. Off to a good start under Mike Ditka. Lonnie Johnson, the tight end, in motion. Second down and 5. Smith for a short gain. During the Bills' scoring drive in the first quarter, Rob Johnson, a key play as he scrambled for 32.
Yeah, well, his offensive line does a nice job protecting him. He sees no one downfield, and then here's Rob Johnson using those legs and the great running ability he has to scramble, pick up a big first down, and then a few plays later, it's Sam Gash. Little play action pass, Gash wide open in the end zone.
Johnson was the Bills' leading rusher in their game against Miami last week. Right here, facing a 3rd down and 4 from their own 42-yard line. Johnson over the top. Thurman Thomas in Rams territory. First down and much, much more. Down to the St. Louis 38, a gain of 20.
Because Rob Johnson is in 3rd and 4, the Rams defense can't blitz. it's much more risky to blitz in 3rd and 4. But watch what Rob Johnson does in this play. He looks downfield, doesn't see his guys open, and he dumps off the short pass to Thurman Thomas. Rob Johnson has just taken a step in his game because Joe Pedri said last week he was looking more downfield. Actually, it was Wade Wilson said.
First down from the 38-yard line. Play action. And Johnson again makes the connection. Eric Mold's second catch of the game. Yes, Wade Phillips told us yesterday that Johnson is more apt to look downfield or take off, that the dump-off pass is not natural to Johnson yet.
But it seems like it's becoming natural today. Yeah, Wade Phillips, of course. I said Wade Wilson, my old teammate, quarterback. But yeah, I mean, and Johnson so far today has completed a lot of balls, and most of them have been short passes. I mean, the longest one he's had is 13 yards.
50 yards in all, 6 of 9. 2nd and 8 as Johnson looked to roll to his left, and he saw DeMarco Farr and Mike A. Jones in his face.
And there's that pressure that the Rams defense hoped to exert a lot sooner than with 7 minutes to go in the second quarter. This is what they wanted right from the start. They wanted these guys to get some penetration up front and get on Rob Johnson right away. Nice redirection by DeMarco Farr. He's a quick guy, always an upfield guy. I think that's the first time I've seen Johnson take a hit to the chops.
And he was banged around in each of the first 2 games, suffered a concussion week 1. He's still wearing bandages on his hands and legs yesterday.
Yeah, he looked like he came out of the hospital ward when he came in to meet them.
Johnson looking for Eric Moulds off his fingertips.
Johnson pass intended for
Eric Moulds is a guy who has great physical talent and ability, and we've seen him make some beautiful catches. Last week he made a spectacular catch in the end zone for a touchdown, and here this ball is thrown just on his fingertips, and he's got to make a beautiful catch, and he doesn't. Now here's Johnson taking another shot from DeMarco Farr. That one hurt. That jarred him.
For St. Louis.
On 4th down, Moore standing at midfield to try and keep it from entering the end zone. And he did. A beautiful punt by Moore. Catching the corner just inside the 2-yard line.
Back in Buffalo, Eric Smedley is the gunner. His job is to get downfield and knock this ball out of bounds before it goes into the end zone. He doesn't knock it out of bounds, but he's there to kind of make the call or help the official make the call.
Ball didn't need any help.
No.
It bounced out on its own. So the Rams start from their own 2-yard line. Greg Hill.
Uh-oh, look out.
Hill still on his feet across the 40 to the 47-yard line. Finally chased down by Thomas Smith. A gain of 45 yards.
Man, that's what a guy like Greg Hill, who's got that speed to run to the outside. But if he ever gets up the middle on you, look out, because the safeties most times are going to miss him. So watch it here. It's right up the gut. He takes it right in the hole, and once he squeezes through that hole, now the safeties miss him, and the cornerbacks have got to run him down. And the only reason Thomas Smith runs him down is he's got an angle on him.
Officially 46 yards.
He's got to come take a breather now.
That's a way to pick up some field position in a hurry.
Take yourself right out of a hole and turn the thing right around.
And the play blown dead.
Yeah,
penalty markers.
If this is a delay of game, which it is,
Offense, 5-yard penalty remains first down.
this is something that Tony Banks told us yesterday that he has really struggled with. He said the plays come in late, and I've talked to Coach Vermeil about it, and I thought that's one of the reasons why Jerry Rome was going to be calling the plays, because it's Rome's offense. But Dick Vermeil likes to make the calls, but today Rome's the guy making the calls, and Tony Banks thought the call was going to be coming in sooner and allow him to avoid those delay of game penalties.
Play action. Banks looking downfield. And it's incomplete. Eddie Kennison. Or did he make the catch?
I think he got it. Yeah, they're calling it a catch. There it is.
So Kennison this time did hold on.
And I'll tell you what, it's not a beautiful pass. Watch Kennison, watch the separation Kennison gets on Thomas Smith. Look at this, puts a move. Now here's where Kennison's strong. Look at that speed. Look how much he's got him beat by. He's got to slow down and then battle for that ball. That's the kind of catch I was talking about. We said it in the beginning, Eddie Kennison's got to make those kind of catches, and if he does, he's going to open up this Rams offense. He just opened it up.
45-yard reception. And now Banks calls timeout with the play clock winding down. It was down to 2. Banks uses his first timeout.
That's a problem, and it's something that they've struggled with. And I think part of the answer was to get Jerry Rome to call the plays directly. Tony Banks felt they'd come in a little more crisper and a little quicker, but we haven't seen that on this series yet.
The Rams started from their own 2-yard line, but 2 huge plays. The longest run of Greg Hill's NFL career, 46 yards.
Yeah, right up the middle, too.
Up the middle, and then a 45-yard connection from Banks to Kennison.
And I love the way Kennison fought for this ball. I mean, Tony Banks puts it up, and basically it's one of those balls where the quarterback's saying, okay, I believe in you. You got to fight to bring this down. Look how badly Kennison has Thomas Smith beat. Look at it. Now he's got to slow down and watch. Now here's the critical point right there. The ball's in his hands. Thomas Smith gets his hand on Eddie Kennison's arm. Kennison hangs on. Beautiful catch.
Amp Lee in the backfield. 3 wideouts. Greg Hill. Hill to the end zone. Touchdown, Rams, and they lead for the first time this season.
Oh, man, what a block by Orlando Pace on that play right there. Man, did he open up a hole. Pace and Fred Miller, this is a great play for the Rams. Watch, they spread the defense out. They send Amp Lee out in motion to spread it out. Look at this blocking here. Look at that. Look at Pace. Man, he gets right up under Sam Rogers and just blasts him back. And then great speed and acceleration by Greg Hill. Straight up the field. Hey, Greg, we're not calling you an outside runner anymore, man. We see some beautiful runs right up the pipe.
Wilkins hands the point after a 3-play, 98-yard drive. How often do you see that?
You don't very often, and some beautiful plays. 2 excellent runs by Greg Hill, and then a beautiful catch by Eddie Kennison to fight, hold on to that football. Greg Hill ran out, he's losing his shoe. He's going to have to spat that thing up. Watch this blocking here. Here's Orlando Pace. Look at this. Nice block down. There's Fred Miller there. Look, Miller gets a block on Holisek. That's outstanding work. Everybody is getting a block up front, and Greg Hill, instead of breaking it outside, look at this, turns it right up. And you know, when you turn it right up, there's Big Ted Washington gets a hand on him. That's the reason why it's dangerous. You know, the big guys are swimming around in there like sharks, you know? So if you're going to turn it up, man, you're taking a chance on taking a big hit.
And there is Kurt Warner, who you mentioned earlier, the 3rd quarterback, who sends the plays in from offensive coordinator Jerry Rome. A 3-play, 98-yard drive, giving the Rams their first lead of the season.
Wow. And Dick Vermeil's got to be particularly pleased because these guys are doing it without Isaac Bruce. I mean, you have to remember that. That is a huge handicap for the Rams, to not have your team's best player.
Last year, Bruce missed 4 of the first 5 games with a hamstring injury. They won 2 of those 4. And they lead right here, 10-7.
Dick Vermeil's got to he listened to his players. His players said, we need to cut back on practice time. Vermeil said, hey, I believe in my guys. I trust them. So far, it's paying off. I mean, they have really looked good this first half.
And remember, in their first 2 games, they trailed 24-0 and 24-10. And right here, they lead 10-7. Kevin Williams out across the 30 to the 33-yard line. 33 yards on the return. Leonard Little made the tackle. Well, Tim, tonight, the best night on television begins with an all-new World's Funniest, followed by an all-new Holding the Baby and the Simpsons season premiere. Then it's a battle of the sexes on that 70s show, followed by the X-Files. Tim's favorite. It all starts tonight at 7, 6 Central on Fox.
Oh, yeah. The X-Files.
And of course, you live in nearby Syracuse. You'll be home in time.
I will. Won't even have to use a VCR tonight.
First down, Bills from the 33, and Johnson is clobbered by Kevin Carter his second sack of the season.
Man, Kevin Carter mauled him, too. You know what surprises me about that play? Is Kevin Carter comes untouched. And the Bills told us yesterday, look, we got to have not just one guy, we got to have two guys on Kevin Carter. Big smile on Kevin Carter's face. Look, the guy's got size, the guy's got speed. Look at this here. Nobody touches him, and he comes unencumbered, wham, and just sends Rob Johnson right to the turf. That hurts.
And a correction, Tim, it's Carter's third sack of the year. Second today. He was credited with the sack when Johnson took off in the first quarter and was stopped just shy of the line of scrimmage. Again, yeah. Johnson under tremendous pressure.
And I think, again, Kevin Carter was the guy who got that ball and knocked it down. You know, Kevin Carter, he's a Bruce Smith type of guy. He's a big, tall, rangy guy who can run, and he's got great athleticism. He can rush the passer on the outside. He's a strong guy. He plays the run well. And whenever you see a defensive end just get his hand up there at the last second, swat the ball down, you know he's got great athletic ability. Bruce Smith does that.
Dick Vermeil last night referred to Kevin Carter as a sleeping giant.
Yeah.
He's awake today. 3rd and 17. 3 wide receivers for the Bills. Johnson dumps it off. Thurman Thomas. Thomas cutting down the sidelines. Forced out at the 47-yard line, and he picks up the first down. He needed 17. He gained 21.
Wow. I got to tell you, I want you to watch the relentless blocking on this play by Ruben Brown. There's Brown, 79. Watch what he does on this play. Look at this. Bang. He gets into the linebacker. Bang, bang. He never stops blocking. He never stops blocking, and that's why Thurman Thomas is able to pick up that first down. A lot of times, big offensive lineman gets out there, gets one little knock on a guy, and stops. Ruben Brown kept going. He was responsible for that first down.
Johnson over the top, and the catch is made by the tight end, Jay Riemersma, into St. Louis Rams territory, and a scuffle. Flags come flying. Riemersma also lost the football, but the question is, was he down?
Well, I got to tell you, it's really working for the Bills, what they wanted to do. First, they are able to run the ball. Second, the short passing game is very effective for them.
And the flag looks to be against Buffalo. At least the Bills think so. They've gone about 20 yards back for the huddle.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, number 72, offense. 15-yard penalty, remains first down.
That's Joe Panos. Now look, this offensive line has come under a lot of criticism over the last couple of weeks because of the sacks they've given up, because of the penalties they've committed. But an offensive lineman, look at that. What he's doing, look, he's taught to do that. Because he sees Toby Wright on top of one of his guys with the ball, and he is taught to come down and you clean up the pile. Because if they're putting guys on your guy, you protect your guy, you clean up the pile. I'm not saying it's not a penalty. I'm just saying for an offensive line that's trying to reestablish themselves as a unit, as a unit that's going to lead the team, toughness, all that stuff, you see a guy who's piling on to your guy, you're going to clean the pile.
And the Bills call their first timeout with 3:23 remaining in the first half, trailing the Rams by the score of 10-7.
The problem with this penalty is it could be a critical drive-killing penalty, and that's one of the things that the Bills' offensive line has had problems with.
We shall see. Coming up on the Visa Halftime Report, JB, Terry, Howie, and Chris with scores and highlights from around the National Football League. And our Fox Sports ticker will bring you up to the second stats. That's all coming up on the Visa Halftime Report. And we will also update you on the status of Mark McGwire as he looks to add to his home run total. Johnson to Andre Reed, met immediately by Dexter McCleon. Reed's second catch today, a gain of 6.
And again, it's that short passing game that they're trying to establish and really let Rob Johnson grow slowly. It was interesting talking to Wade Phillips yesterday and say, a lot of people say, how could you pay $25 million for a guy who really isn't that proven? He said, well, hey, look what the Colts did. Look what the Chargers did. They're paying guys tons of money coming out of college. This guy had more experience and more success in the NFL than either of them.
Eric Moulds makes the catch at the Rams' 42-yard line, wrapped up by McLeon.
And that's another reason why they paid Rob Johnson the big money, why they gave him the $25 million contract, because that's what he can do. Right there on that play, he throws the ball with great accuracy. But he should, right? I mean, he grew up, his dad is a quarterback's coach, so he grew up right from the get-go. He always knew how to throw the ball, always knew the correct way, the correct steps, how to read defenses, all the techniques he learned from his dad.
Dad Bob, a high school coach in Southern California. Play action on first down, and Johnson is taken down. DeMarco Farr coming up with his third sack of the season.
And what happens when Kevin Carter becomes the focus of your concentration as an offensive line? This guy becomes very dangerous, because look at Farr right there. He's got one guy to beat. It's Joe Panos, and he goes right by him with his outstanding quickness and comes up with a big sack for the Rams.
And we have hit the 2-minute warning from Orchard Park. Well, they need coolers today in Buffalo, not heaters.
That's a little different.
80-degree day in Orchard Park. Second and 18 following the sack. As Johnson's pass complete. Once again, it's the tight end Remersma down to the Rams 33. Charlie Clemens made the stop, a gain of 17.
Yeah, Rams come with only 4 pass rushers, and the Bills' offensive line does a nice job of protecting Rob Johnson. And again, it's that short passing game right down the center. Look at, there's Kevin Carter right up top. He gets a chip. He gets double blocked. 2 guys blocking Kevin Carter, and then nice protection there, enabling Rob Johnson to get that pass off.
Third down and 1. Antoine Smith. Oh, what a second effort. What a second effort on third and 1.
Wow. How about that? He looks like he's shaken up.
It looked like he would be hit for a loss, which would set up 4th down, but instead Smith gains 6.
What a beautiful run. Does that surprise you, though? I mean, a guy that takes 3 years out of his life to work in a mill to take care of his grandma. Look at this. Look at this. Just won't stop. Just keeps going. Banged around, knocked around, picks up a key first down. Look at this. Wow, look at this effort. Man, that's the stuff you love about this game, the National Football League.
Johnson to Sam Gash.
Oh,
inside the 10 to the 8.
How about that? How about those last 3 yards? I'll tell you what, this Bills team is playing inspired, tough, hard-nosed football.
17-yard gain.
With under a minute remaining.
It's just a little bootleg play. It's the same play they ran earlier. Rob Johnson delivered the ball down the field. This time he delivers it to Sam Gash on the underneath pattern. But I just love Gash's second effort. Watch it here. Okay, so there's the bootleg. He fakes the pitch the other way and then just dumps it right off to Sam Gash. Watch this here. Gash has got 1 guy, 2 guys. Look at this. Whoa, driving, churning. 2, 3 extra yards. It's like it's life and death for this guy. That's the thing you got to have out of a fullback. For a fullback, every yard you've just got to fight and scrap for it.
Curtis Martin gained 1,000 yards 3 seasons in a row in New England, thanks in large part to the blocking of Gash.
Yeah, and so far today, we've seen him do some nice jobs catching the ball and then running after the catch.
Bills have called their second timeout with 57 seconds remaining. Second quarter. First and goal from the Rams' 8-yard line. Bills took a 7-0 lead. Rams have scored 10 consecutive points. Remersma in motion. Double tight end set. Motion. And penalty markers come flying.
Yeah, it looked like Reuben Brown. He had 3 of those things last week. 3 of them.
Prior to the snap, false start, number 79 offense, 5-yard penalty.
It's Reuben Brown But I'll tell you what, even though the offensive line, we saw Panos with a couple penalties earlier. Here's Ruben Brown right here. He's going to go offsides. But so far, even though they've had a few miscues, they've had a lot less than they had last week, and they've done a nice job in the run game and also in the pass protection, giving Rob Johnson the time he needs.
Johnson's hit on 6 consecutive pass attempts. First and goal from the 13. Molds in motion. Johnson fires to the end zone. Touchdown! Andre Reed.
Some good football right there for the Buffalo Bills. We saw good football by the Rams. Now we're seeing good football right back at you by the Bills.
Christie adds the extra point.
And the thing I love about this drive that results in the Bills' touchdown, Kenny, was Antoine Smith refusing to go down and picking up a critical first down. Watch the protection here. Now, Rob Johnson is able to step up. Watch him step up. He feels the pressure from Carter from the outside. He's able to step up because his line gives him the pocket. And when he steps up, he has the time and the ability to just lace this ball right in there. Just over the underneath coverage by the linebacker and just in front of the cornerback coverage by Dexter McCleon.
83rd touchdown of Andre Reed's illustrious career, 10th most in league history. And he also has become the first Buffalo Bill non-kicker to score more than 500 points in a career.
And you know, Andre Reed is only going to get better. This is a new offense. Andre Reed missed a lot of training camp, missed a lot of time with some injuries, and he really doesn't have the chemistry with Rob Johnson that he will have, because every game Reed and Johnson are going to get to know each other a little bit better as players, and I think that combination is going to be dangerous.
He spent 10 years with the same quarterback, Tim Kelly. So career touchdown number 83 for number 83, Andre Reed. And the Bills have regained the lead.
They got some enthusiastic fans here, too. I love to see guys painting their face, you know, because it just tells you that, hey, I'm willing to do anything to let everybody know I'm a fan.
One of our Fox colleagues, Ray Bentley, a former Bill, used to paint his face.
Yeah, I think it's a Buffalo thing.
Tony Horn down to one knee. So the Rams with 52 seconds to try and drive 80 yards. They trail by 4 Tuesday after an all-new King of the Hill. It's the new series Costello plus an all-new Guinness World Records prime time. Fox's night of new episodes starts Tuesday at 8, 7 Central on Fox.
And that Guinness World Records, that's Chris Collinsworth, right? He's got that show. JB's got the World's Funniest on Sunday nights. Collinsworth's got Guinness. Joe Buck's got a show. Ripley's, believe it or not. Fox Sports guys all over the airwaves.
And some of us are writing books.
That's right.
Rams drove 98 yards on their last possession, but the clock winding down, under 45 seconds remaining in this first half.
Take a look at the two quarterbacks. Tony Banks, only 40% completion. Rob Johnson doing quite a bit better with almost twice the amount of yardage and 2 touchdowns to Tony Banks, 0.
And Banks, of course, without Isaac Bruce.
But Banks did have that one key throw to Eddie Kennison to set up their first touchdown.
At 45 yards. And the Rams will run out the clock. Hill up the middle. As he approaches the 100-yard mark. That will do it for the first half. Greg Hill, 14 carries, 100 yards for the Rams, plus a touchdown. But the Buffalo Bills in their home opener, they lost their first 2 on the road, both close games. Rams lost their first 2 at home, both by a touchdown.
Of course, Dick Vermeil, has to play without Isaac Bruce. But his offensive line's done a nice job, and Greg Hill has really, again, exploded onto the scene for the St. Louis Rams.
Tonight, the world's funniest will put